My name's Fred Money, and I'm known as the Phoenix because I've crashed and burned so much, and they've given me a new moniker calling me Gonzo Fred because of my involvement with things. And today I'm out here in front of the U.S. Post Office, the national office, the main office in Washington, D.C. And what we're here for today is that the Post Office involved in the Lance Armstrong USPS scandal, the biggest sporting scandal of all time, is that the Post Office was running cover for this thing by using their good name. Whenever it first started, his good name was the Post Office good name wouldn't be involved in anything. And our problem was, well, if the Post Office good name wasn't involved in anything, why weren't they investigating anything themselves? I started an investigation with the Post Office because I helped solve a murder back in the late 90s of a Lee Wayne Parker in Salt Lake City, and they have a reward posted, which is a promise, and they've refused to pay it. This gets into more fraud and corruption, and as I was dealing with that, I sat there and came up to DC and talked to the Inspector General, and I've got about 20 times I've talked to the Inspector General, not only about the misconduct in my case, but also the misconduct, seems to be there's misconduct going on with Lance Armstrong. Since I was going against all these power brokers and money, I went to see one of the most renowned constitutional law professors in the country at the time. He's since retired, but it's William Van Einstein. He was a professor at Duke University and also a professor at William & Mary College. As I kept being lied to and lied to and lied to, and couldn't get an investigation going on the Postal Service, I filed over in the District of Columbia, and you can see it received October 8, 2009, against the mock holder, the Attorney General, and the Postal Service, that they were bribing the Inspector General not to do to investigate. And I also at the same time went across the river into Alexandria, and because their office is over in Arlington, and I filed one in the United States Court in District of Virginia saying that David C. Williams, the Inspector General, was taking a bribe from them. Of course, this is when everybody was still getting knocked down. Oh, you can't say that about them and say that about them, even though all the documentation was showing something was. The part that really got me started on it is I am a real miracle. I had come down with transverse myelitis, and I was in a wheelchair for 2 years. They said I'd never walk again. But in the process, as I got better, I never got 100% better. And anybody that goes through anything that bad doesn't get 100% better. And here Lance Armstrong's coming back, and he's 200% better. Well, I've been in athletics and stuff, and I just know that, like anybody, he was, as I started researching him, he was a short speed, the speed riders and the small flatlands and stuff. He was never known as a power rider. All through his high school days and early things being involved with the pro teams. And so how in the world does he sit there and now all of a sudden turn into a power rider? A 100-yard dash man, I ran track, a 100-yard dash man doesn't turn into a marathon man, and he might want to run it, but he's not going to win it and blow it, and then blow everybody else off the road. So I knew something was funny, and as well as anybody in athletics did, but every time the Post Office was asked about it, they wouldn't do anything. So finally, it comes out that they have this misconduct, this thing's been filed by Landis, and it starts breaking it up. And here's the case. That's over here in the District Court. Floyd Landis involved in this whistleblower case, and I came up and filed an amicus brief showing and documenting that Tom Weasel was running a Godfather's type operation, racketeering operation, and that John Potter and the upper management staff of the Postal Service was involved in it, as well as Lance Armstrong was running the field operation. But it also involves Amgen and Trek and Nike, all these big corporations, because they were making money on it. It seems like Tom Weasel was letting them know he had to fix in at the Post Office for these years of whenever he was winning the Tour de France's. And what was going on, there was a big kickback going to the Post Office under what they call perquisites, and they were flying over to Paris, France, and just having a big time, and I don't know what else is going on. But as I filed my amicus brief, I fall into corruption with the judge, and like I said, here's the Landis thing, what they call the docket sheet, and at the very end it has Movert, Fred Roney, represented, because when the judge dismissed it, I said, well, it's misconduct for him to dismiss it. He has the power to, but there's certain things he's got to obey. And one is if there's accusations of fraud upon the court, corruption going to the court, he has to investigate. He can't just say, I like somebody or something. And the other thing is there's a thing out there for a judge to take an amicus brief. At first, it can't be dealing with something that's already been discussed, and it can't be something frivolous talking about something in the wild blue yonder. And there was like 7 things that had been listed at it, and I had 6 of them. Any one was enough to have an amicus brief taken, and there was 6 out of 7 that was in my amicus brief to why it should be accepted. So I knew something was wrong, so I filed a misconduct. Because the judge has a conduct rules, I filed a misconduct complaint. Then in April of this year, 2014, and then after I filed the misconduct complaint, I sat there outlining stuff in exhibits. I sat there, and then it's in the docket sheet. Anybody wants to go to Pacer and look it up, they can. But then I filed a motion for reconsideration on April 2nd in the court, of which the judge that's handling the case, and he just now gets promoted to he was a district court judge here in D.C. He's on the circuit court, and they just he's still ruling. Up to last month, he ruled it, Weasel and them, Weisel, I call him Weasel. I think that's the name he should be called by. Tom Weisel wasn't involved in this thing, and there's too much documentation saying he was. I presented it to the court, and what's got him in a jam is not only did I do this brief, I put a copy of the misconduct complaint in there too. And there's a copy of the misconduct complaint involved with my motion for reconsideration. Now nobody's heard on this yet, but I'm down as a mover because I went back and refiled. They couldn't get rid of it, and I go up to the the D.C. Court of Appeals and ask what's going on with this complaint, and they say it's still sitting on the judge's desk. Well, their thing is the judge has to look at it and see if there's any merit to it. And then if there's any merit to it, he's supposed to put together a panel of federal judges around the country so it's nobody's got the fix in or something. So it has the appearance that the fix is in, as serious as this case is, they shouldn't be no dragging their feet on it and letting this judge continue ruling for different people. So it looks like I said, the fix is in from Weasel to get his name off of it, let him take all the blame. And so what we're talking about now is that the post office right here was running a major scam against the United States. A cancer fraud scam, as well as a one about the Tour de France and other things. Now I have a website. It's called it's fredmoney.com, and here's a picture of it. On it, when you go to it, fredmoney.com, it's AK to Phoenix, and you can go to the one that says Phoenix Brief, and when you pull up the page Phoenix Brief, the amicus brief, motion for leave and amicus brief are there, and there's all the exhibits. So you can read it for free, you can download it for free, and you can, as you're reading it, if you hit the button where an exhibit is, you can go straight to the exhibit, read what you want to it, then go right back to where you was at reading the brief so you keep up with it. This has already been downloaded quite a few times, so they don't know what to do with it because of the people involved. All these lawyers, these 23 lawyers and law firms have had to look at it because it's filed in the case, and they get it by Pacer. See, it's all served on them, and we've put it to other places. Our analytics showed it's been downloaded about 200 times. But here it is, so anybody needs to see it. fredmoney.com, and it's the Phoenix Brief. My name's Fred Money, Gonzo Fred, Phoenix, from the U.S. Postal Service, saying that we had racketeering, and these people swear an oath. This is actually like they're traitors. They're treason, traitors, sedition, whatever you want to call it, that the post office and its upper management's involved in. And the thing of where the cover-up's still going on is because the postmaster today was assistant postmaster back then most of the time.